also goes to, yep, it does a little, you guys can all say hi. All right. So we'll get into this one next time, as there's a few I wanted to get into. Hello. Like how you add services. Like this will be our first example. I'll read it and then stop, because then you get to think about it. And now that there's, huh? No. Presentation is just going to be any major mental health disorder, how to diagnose it, and that's out of the DSM. It'll be like 5 of 9 categories. Like depression has like unable to function at job, this, that, and this. What it looks like, what social workers do to both diagnose and create treatment plans for it. Like, how are you going to fix this problem with, as a social worker, how are you going to help somebody with this problem? And if you need a video, that's fine. Is that what you just said? Yeah. Obviously present as much as you can and tell those things. And if you want a video that kind of gives another detail of, there's some good ones about schizophrenia now, because there's really good medication out for schizophrenia. So it's cool. This is interesting because remember I said Medicare, Medicaid gives you 1 hour of therapy that they pay for, 2 hours of case management as a social worker. So this question says, how many hours of service does this little kid need? He's 6 years old. He's a male client, diagnosis of ADHD. He's been with behavioral health for 10 months. He gets CPST as case management 2 times a week, therapy 2 times a week. He sees a psychiatrist. They prescribed a stimulant. It's probably like Adderall or Ritalin. That's usually what you get, which is at a therapeutic level and working successfully. He's reportedly doing well in school and is able to focus and maintain attention to task. He has no suicidal ideation or homicidal ideation, no oppositional aggressive behaviors. Per the parent and the teacher, he continues to struggle with being organized and with staying focused during transition times. Do you guys think this is enough or too little, or they need more for the level of care of Bryce? What do you think? Hearing all of that about a 6-year-old that has ADHD. I know it makes you think. There's not a whole bunch of right or wrong answers, but if that helps you to answer it. Ooh. I just realized I didn't have lunch. I better eat something. You guys want me to try to answer it instead? So it is good. And you could see him that much, but remember, they give you 1 therapy a week and 2 case managements. So
I feel like it's a lot.
Right.
I feel like it's a lot.
Right.
I mean, I think he benefits more from like a 504 or something.
It is a lot. And if you were to justify seeing him that much and you're billing 104 hours of therapy every year and 104 hours of case management, you're going to have to write a lot of notes to justify it. That's,
says he's like doing better. So
he's doing fine. Right. Yep. Anybody else? I know it's throwing you into the fire, but that, you know what? I feel like you guys are all like done with either 15 or 45 hours of college already, right? So my common phrase is you get to stop watching college like it's a movie soon, and you're going to practice. Like you are going to be the professional to diagnose this shit. You get out there, you work with this stuff, and you do it, which is scary because you in college you get used to being able to text in the back of class, talk to your friends, do some horse shit, turn it in, get some grades, get a license, hopefully practice. But if you don't get it all and like you ran through this, in internships, that's where you truly practice. You'll have 400 hours of practicing behaviors. And then you graduate and we set you free. So ideally you got enough to pass the test, which you can pass your senior year. You can take it as early as your last semester of your final year of college. So I remember watching college like a movie too. I'm not hating on it, but there is like a fast transition in the practice. Like when I jumped into social work, I had to do in grad school, you do they count your undergrad hours your senior year, but you need like 1,200 total hours of internship. So if you did 400 here in undergrad, you only need to do like 800. It may be more like 1,500 because I seem to remember it changed during COVID, but like you've got to practice because I had no undergrad. I had to do 3 500-hour internships at the University of Kentucky. So it was like 500 over 15 weeks. That's like 30 hours a week, I think, if I'm doing the math right. So it's almost like your full-time job. You have enough 10 hours outside of class to, some people do both and work graveyard shifts and do an internship and do full-time classes. It's impressive. Or if you're smart, you have the job you're at is already social work and you set it up so that you do a different thing at that agency and get your internship counted there. So here's another one. It's another level of care scenario. Penny's 15-year-old male, 15-year-old female client who is diagnosed with bipolar. She recently opened up with behavioral health for therapy. She's being seen an hour a week. She has a history of cutting and suicidal ideation with attempts. She's been hospitalized 4 times in a year and a half. Her last hospitalization was 3 months ago. Trying to strangle herself with a belt. She is currently prescribed medication for mood stabilization and has an apt appointment. There's an app for that. She has an appointment to the Lighthouse Youth Services psychiatrist. So that's where you would get your meds. Some agencies have psychologists, psychiatrists, some don't. She's verbally and physically aggressive towards her parents and siblings. She's been suspended multiple times. Detention trying to hurt peers, charging at a teacher. She is not on the IEP. She's being told her next incident could lead to expulsion. Her parents fear they cannot keep themselves, the family, or her safe. They've called 2-for-1 Kids for help. She feels everyone is the problem and she doesn't need services. Do you think this is the appropriate level of care for Penny, and what are your recommendations?
No, she needs residential.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, and if you like discharged her at that, excuse me,
Yeah, she needs residential and an IEP.
you could be liable. You know what I mean? Like you would not want to discharge. So she certainly could have all 2 case management hours. She could have all 1 therapy hour and or inpatient. And again, it's just how do you document it? How do you guys write it out? How do you observe the behaviors and then connect it? And that's why this presentation on a major mental health disorder helps you to begin to articulate it. And it's papers. Anybody ever seen a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Love that movie.
I didn't know they made chocolate bars, but when I saw it for 36 cents, I had to get it for lunch. What's that? I just didn't eat anything, but sorry to eat in front of you. Sorry to belch in front of you. Any questions? All right. We'll do more on treatment planning next time. My computer crashed since the last class we did, so I don't even have the place open. Oh, this thing is badass. Have we got access to this? If not, I can send it to you too. This is cool because it'll give you goals for every diagnosis. So you would use it in your practice, like say ADHD, and it gives you the goals. I'll search it. There's probably anybody else keep lots of files and have to organize them?
Yeah.
I swear I have over 1 million files. No, it didn't work. Okay. Maybe I'll just type it. I think it was called like treatment planner. I do have it. Okay. I've got a few things. A provider's introduction to treatment, trauma-informed treatment, a review of those. That's the one that I wanted. So if you wanted something like this and you email me, I can share it. I try to share all the resources I have, but this one's like abusive parenting, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it gives you goals as a social worker to work on with these kids with every single, did I say parent? Parenting skills treatment planner. Okay. So those are helpful. I want to do another one. Ashford. All right. So yes, abuse. That is where we left off. Hopefully it works. I think it was literally the last. Okay, it was. So child abuse and neglect. It was the last 3 or 4 slides. So maltreatment of children is physical abuse or sexual abuse or physical neglect. Even educational neglect. What do you guys think about that? What does that sound like?
You said educational neglect?
Yeah, like
probably like parents not like taking their kids to school, not always like school things, stuff like that.
maybe even if you say you're homeschooling them and you're just teaching them kind of crap. I think the state tries to oversee homeschooling even, but like maybe you say you're homeschooling, but you're just training them to work at the family business. Not totally terrible, but you still should get like reading, writing. What are like the 4 major subjects you get in high school? I feel like there's at least 4. Science, math, and yeah. So I think you need 4 hours of all of those. So that's fine if you want to train them for a family business or like to be an electrician, to be a plumber, but I think you still need those basic 4. That's my understanding. Maybe some physical. Do you have to take gym no matter what? And that's just to teach you how to like get out and move. And then what about eating stuff? Do they have anything on diet? Probably not.
Dude, I grew up in the Boondocks. In my gym classes, we had a mandated square dancing unit.
Okay. Did you get to wear the flannels with it and shit? That's cool. Maybe not. So in 2001, 1 million children were victims of maltreatment. That's 12 out of 1,000. So as low as that looks, that still is either 1% or 0.1%. Anybody good with statistics? Is that 1% or 0.1%? Because 10 out of 100 would be 10%. I guess 10 out of 1,000 is 1%. Still have maltreatment. 52% of boys and 48% of girls were victims of child maltreatment. So more boys. Why do you think that is? Like if you were to like dig into the stats, why do you think boys are more mistreated? And youngest children have the highest rate of abuse. Is that because their siblings beat the shit out of them? And the parents don't stop it? Like, I mean, okay.
I feel like some of it is like the abuse of young kids because a lot of them don't know how to advocate for themselves yet.
Okay.
So maybe they think they're not going to get caught because, like, what is a 2-year-old going to go say to someone?
And 2/3 of perps were the parents. So I guess it leaves that 1/3 to be other folks, maybe siblings. Here's some other stats. I've never like overanalyzed this before, but which one do you see is the highest form of neglect? Or I'm sorry, of the highest form of abuse? I gave you the answer. And what is neglect?
Like, just not paying attention to your kids, like just letting them do that. Not feeding them, not watching them.
Not meeting their needs.
Right. Let's see. I don't think I have the answer for Dr. Hunt. Has anybody done CITI training before here? You do it in your stats or research class ultimately. All of us have to be trained as about ethics. So CITI is for the ethics of research. And that's so you don't have the Tuskegee event to happen again, which we showed a little bit of. So, okay, almost 2/3 is neglect. You might not have enough food. You might not have, anything. Sexual abuse is 10%. Physical abuse is almost 20%. I can see that with boys that are like high energy, high intelligent boys. When they say that stat up top where it's like 52% of boys and 48% of girls are victims of child maltreatment. I'm just guessing they were more like high energy, aggressive, testosterone, even things of that nature. And then parents, caregiver factors. This is probably the biggest one that stands out here. So especially with sexual perpetrators, 80% have been sexually abused themselves. And or substance abuse. So like maybe they're only able to think about themselves. Like the parents are like, I'm not buying you food. I got to get like the next drink, drug, whatever that may be. And that happens. That could be a 2-for-1 kids call. Age, like if they're not able to fend for themselves. And then family factors. Like the structure, the marital conflict, domestic violence, stress, and parent-child interaction. So other ones that are like child factors, the age or a disability. Why do you think disabilities come into play there? Like if you're disabled, why would you?
I think it's more like, I'm not gonna say easier, but like kind of easier to neglect a child with disability.
Yeah.
Because they need like more than a child.
Yeah, and if you're a nonverbal autism spectrum disorder, how do you tell somebody that you were abused? Like that machine could help, but I don't know too many kids that have that machine, right? Where you like press the button to talk. Like environmental factors, poverty. Why do you think poverty is one?
Well, when you have less, you can't really, take care of your child the way
Right.
you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still not good. Like if they just can't do it, or like
Possibly, yeah. Like if you can't buy food, that's why we have the social services. So somehow, as a social worker, maybe you have to determine, like, were they just unable to get to the social services to help and get the food? Or is it selfishness, addiction, alcoholism, where they didn't take the time to get them down to get their food? Because we do have food assistance all over the place. Unemployment, social isolation, lack of social support, and then violent communities. So, any questions on that? I know that we're kind of closing out the kids stuff, early childhood. We're going to jump to middle childhood, but just get you guys to where we can. That is all I have for today. Make sure to sign in if you didn't. And then, yeah, if you have questions about your presentation or the application, just email me. There's so many different things. 5 by 5 by 5.
I'm confused.
It says you turned it in?
Yeah, see?
Okay.
Submitted January
Right.
28th.